All right, what's up, guys? I'm Steffen.
Hey, I'm Ryan. How's it going?
If you guys follow my Instagram page, Swell Sommelier, wine, whiskey, cigars. We all know wine's #1 for me, but cigars have become a close second. So I figured, why not do something different? Have a couple people over, you know, put some cigars, some whiskey, some rum, whatever we got going on. Only thing is, it's not a tutorial. I don't plan on step by step, you know, history of this, history of that. We might throw some things in there, but this is more just like a regular conversation. And if you haven't been to a cigar shop and actually had a conversation like this, you are really missing out. All right, so Ryan has been the one to put me on more Dominican cigars. I was always a Nicaraguan smoker, more or less, because I like smoking aggressive. You can still get the flavors and everything out of it, but I could puff on as much on some brands and get the most that I wanted out of it for that hour and a half. Then I met this guy at the Hill Cigar Company. And now, if I don't get a Fuente at some point while he's there or not there, I don't feel like I'm smoking anything real. So, thank you for the Fuentes. Appreciate it, Ryan.
Yeah, no, of course, man. Yeah, I mean, I've always been a firm believer in, you know, everybody has their own distinctive palates, but, you know, me being from Tampa, Florida, Fuente being such like a religious thing around there, I feel like I'm doing somebody a disservice as to, you know, not recommending that.
Right.
And it's for any and all smokers. I mean, really, they have, you know, such a big portfolio that you can really go across the board from mild to full. But, you know, like most Dominican Maduros, it tends to be pretty mild. I shouldn't say mild, but on the milder side compared to Nicaraguans. But that's just my passion. I've always loved Fuente, and I like other brands as well. I've actually been smoking a lot more Nicaraguan stuff since I've been in St. Louis. But yeah, man, I'm glad you enjoy it, and yeah, it's always good to make a recommendation based on something that you have like a strong passion about, and to see that, you know, evident in somebody else really makes it worth it for me. So
yeah, that was like the first time I met you. That was the first thing we were talking about. Was all right. There was one day he was actually off, and as usual, it was a Monday. I was off of work, so I went inside and I was in the corner. You know, nobody was there. It was one of the first times we actually sat down and talked. And you were talking about how, like, lighting your cigar, which I do have some bark, by the way.
Cool.
And some matches before we get these sparked. But you were talking about your grandfather and how when he would smoke, you know, how he would take his time and light a cigar. And you'll see this a little bit later when we start to spark these, which honestly is probably going to be shortly. But yeah, that was crazy. I've never had someone that, when they smoke like that, the backstory is more or less, is usually like, oh, well, my best friend turned me on to this. Like, no, it was your grandfather. That was different.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like I was saying earlier, growing up in Tampa to a Cuban family, cigars is, you know, I have to say cultural. It's definitely something that was at every single occasion. I mean, if I was, you know, along with killing a pig and cooking it, that's like also a Cuban thing. So it's like, if you had a birthday, you killed a pig and then you smoked cigars. And if you had New Year's, you killed a pig and you smoked cigars. And if somebody got married, you killed a pig and you smoked cigars. So it's pretty much like the only two things we would do. But yeah, I've always told people that lighting your cigar is almost like sauteing vegetables. Ooh. If you turn it on really, really high heat, and you let that pan get real hot, the hottest it can get, and you just throw the vegetables in there, what's going to happen? It's going to burn. It's going to taste bitter, right?
It's going to sear.
Think about that when you light your cigar. I mean, you know, the less stress you put in a slower amount of time, it's literally better for the cigar. Basically because, to me, you know, butane, a lot of high heat, a lot of high force just coming out of the gate like that can really completely, I don't want to say ruin, but can kind of ruin your experience a little bit. And then when you show that to people, and, you know, they light it with a match for the first time, and they actually experience it, they're like, wow, like this is like completely different. But I tend to be a patient guy. I like to take my time when lighting it, when it comes to toasting it and all that. You savor a lot of the flavors. You savor the start of the cigar, and it makes for what it's going to be the rest of the time, because if you get that good start off of it, then it's really going to have a consistent pull all the way through. So,
all right. Hey, it makes sense to me, especially when you use a vegetable analogy, because I know you cook a lot.
Yeah.
I know I cook, and my fiance cooks a lot, and You can definitely taste the difference when you were talking about that. 'Cause like I had a Superfly Maduro, and I remember actually seeing the oil and everything coming out of it. It had been a while since I had actually seen it, and I was like, oh, man, am I smoking this too tough?
Yeah.
I put the cigar down a little bit, let it let it cool off, and then I went back to it, and then I haven't gone back to that cigar in a while. But it's almost like with cigars, I always compare it to wine, because wine, like cigars, can be more of a fad. So you had the first things when I was smoking, it was Cuban cigars.
Of course, yeah.
And then that was a big thing. Oh, I can't get them. And then after that, you had Padrones, and then you had the Fuentes, the short stories, Hemingways. Now, as with wine, I'm like, all right, well, I've already had that one. I'll revisit the next vintage. And then with cigars, like, okay, let me go around the room, let me pick out everything that, a couple of new things to try. Next thing I know, like, I don't go back to the same stick. The only thing I've gone back to so far has been the Fuente, not the Sun Grown, Don Carlos.
Yeah, the Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I keep going back to that, and that's thanks to you. But yeah, I keep going back. That's the only cigar I really go back and revisit. And people are like, well, how can you tell people about how, like, this wine tastes different from this, or this cigar tastes different than that? And I'm like, well, one thing about me and you also, when you're tasting, you constantly are looking for things in a cigar that you enjoy or you don't like, but then you're still selling.
Yeah.
So being able to compare that to a person's palate and say, look, if this is what you're looking for, this is it, or this is not.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, I'll be honest with you, when a guy like myself, I really like what I do, so I tend to put a little pressure on myself when it comes to that,
Mm-hmm.
If I really care about the person and, and I really, want them to share the same passion that I do and just have that great experience, I kind of put a little pressure on myself. And, it's nothing too bad. It's a little healthy pressure, but it's, I will say with time, it's gotten a little easier as far as to, which way to direct people. And the best way is, I try to take the, educating standpoint, and I try not to be diminishing by any ways. Like, if they tell me that the Opus X that I recommended to them tastes like shit, then you know what?
God forbid somebody says that.
I'm going to have to go with it, and I'm going to have to ride with that and adjust accordingly. And you know what? It means I have to swallow my pride sometimes, but at the end of the day, if I can recommend a cigar to somebody that I just do not like whatsoever, and they thoroughly enjoy it, then my mission is complete.
Hey, that makes complete sense to me,
Yeah.
especially. All right, we are. So what I asked you, because I was gonna pair this with rum, not you, but I told you about the flavor profile of the rum, and then I asked you to pick out a cigar. So what exactly do we have right now?
So what we have right here is the Rocky Patel made TAA Exclusiva. Every year, the Tobacconists Association of America gets with a couple brands and comes out with a special edition cigar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all of them on the top of my head, but I can name a couple names, like Tatuaje is another one that comes out with
I think I got one in here.
Yeah, it comes out with the TAA. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I haven't been a Rocky Patel fan most of my life, but
Agreed.
in the past year or two, Rocky has been putting out a lot of stuff that is un-Rocky-like. And I hate to say that, but that's kind of my cup of tea. I actually had this cigar for the first time when I was up in Maine with my fiance, and this is a kind of a darker Sumatra wrapper. Definitely medium to full, but nutty, smooth. I don't find a lot of pepper on it whatsoever. It really elevates. It's got like kind of the nutty, rich, almost molasses kind of flavor going on.
Got it.
And I really enjoy this cigar. Like I said, it's un-Rocky-like. It's kind of different for him, but it came out fantastic in my opinion. So.
Well, when you mention those tasting notes, what I've got right now is a Papa's Pilar. It's actually a single barrel for those you bourbon nuts out there. Single barrels are pretty much you get to either the company or a group of people goes and picks the barrel. They taste different ones, and then they essentially pay for that barrel, and then that specific one that you taste it goes into the market. This one was done at Total Wine in Missouri, and the one thing about this one that's different than most rums, well, I don't want to say most, but some, it's a 25-year in a bottle. So usually when you hear about age, especially when it comes to bourbon, sometimes bourbon sweet spots for me is like 6 to 8. And then we get Scotch is 12 minimum. If you're not starting at 12 years, it's something different. But that one, because it's done with sugarcane molasses, it has that richness, it has that nuttiness,
Okay.
not much pepper. When you talk about this cigar, the same thing as that.
Yeah.
So when you told me that, when I told you the tasting notes, you told me about this one, just hearing what you just said, I'm like, oh, well, this should go really, really well. Now, he's going to be, drinking coffee. I'm going to have a couple sips of this. I mean, it is Sunday. So, I mean, why not open a day up with a cigar?
Absolutely.
I did not get my morning coffee this morning. I had coffee at home. I normally go to a coffee shop out here and grab one in the morning, but I just couldn't do it today. Wasn't moving it. So.
All right, keep it simple. My grandfather said you light a cigar like you make love to your lady in less than 30 seconds. No, I'm just kidding.
Quick pumper.
Yeah. Patiently. So, my grandfather always used to say, you actually don't cut the cigar first. And the reason why is because when you torch, or let's say torch, or what do they say, toast the front.
Oh, gotta use those politically correct words.
They say that if you don't cut the cigar first, what happens is there's no airflow through the cigar. So when you toast it, that heat that's circulating through the cigar only has one way out, which is through the front. So that actually helps get an even toast on it. So what I'm going to do is give it a nice little toast, and then cut it last, actually. And what I do is I focus on the outside first. Always on the outside, because that's pretty much the easiest thing to get to. And obviously this is going to be a lot easier with a smaller ring gauge cigar. I smoke a lot of Lanceros, that's why I do a lot, but this one's going to be a little bit more difficult. But we can work with it. Kind of flame kind of dances on the wood a little bit. You got to keep up with it. Got to find some balance. It's a tricky thing you got going on here. It took me years, honestly, to do this perfectly. I say that, I'm probably going to mess this up now. But
Oh, the camera's on you.
yeah. Thank God for technology.
Yeah, right?
So
I know I got like 6,000 lighters and a couple of torches around the house, but when you smoke cigars, especially as much as we do, you tend to lose a lighter and a cutter. And the one time you actually want to have it, you can't find the damn thing.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm kind of focused on the outside, and I'm just really being as patient as possible. I mean, when you're smoking a cigar, where you got to go anyways, You got an hour to yourself.
Exactly.
What's 10 minutes?
Right. Oh, one more thing. When I think Ryan can attest to this too. When you're actually lighting your cigars with matches, you want to make sure you let that sulfur burn off first.
Absolutely, good point.
Yeah. Unless you got the long stick ones, then you should be okay. Or obviously the non-sulfur ones.
Even the ones that say non-sulfur, I always just try to make a point to let it burn out first if you're doing it directly off the match. So, you can already see mine smoking just off of doing the outside. So next, the next and last one, I'm gonna focus on towards the middle. And I just put that.
It's the pressure.
There we go. So yeah, man. I always tell people, nice and patient. You'll be amazed to take the first pull off your cigar. And just notice such an amazing difference on the flavor.
Yeah, one thing about this channel, guys, like, you're going to see and hear, certain terms and that kind of thing, but understand that this is not meant to be the, this is how you have to do it, this is the only way to do it. If anybody knows me, especially when it comes to wine, I'm going to say however I feel. I don't have time to, if I'm on the job, then I have to do my job. But if I'm giving my honest opinion and I'm outside of work, trust me, if I don't like it, I don't like it. If I love it, I love it. And when it comes to anything in life, food, wine, cigars, you gotta have that same kind of outlook. The last thing you want to do is be following a fad, and then you're buying and spending all this money on whatever wine, spirit, cigars you're smoking, and then you have no idea what the hell it is. Like, I can't tell you how many people will go out and buy certain things, and then I'll ask them, like, what about this is so good to you? And they can't tell me. And that's a great thing about having an open palate and open mind, is that it's a lot easier to give your honest opinion when you actually are patient and understand what the hell you're doing.
Absolutely, man. If you can't tell somebody why you like the cigar you're smoking or the drink you're drinking, you could probably tell me who you were hanging out with. And that, to me, makes a world of a difference because, you know, some of the best wisdom I've ever gotten is over a cigar.
I agree, man. I could tell you that there's some shops that I've gone to just to visit in a different city or a different state. I've walked in and walked out, all because the vibe just wasn't what I wanted. Just wasn't what I was looking for.
So I got mine going. I just cut it. Still haven't taken a pull off yet. So what I'm doing is lighting that cherry a little bit. Taking my first nice easy pull. I kind of do like the one Mississippi rule.
What's that?
Kind of just like one Mississippi pull in and then let out. You know, very gentle. Like,
right.
Kind of like, you know, you're not hitting a bong, but, you know, just taking a hit off a cigar.
Yeah, right, dude. That makes complete sense.
So, I just took one gentle pull. Mine's nice and cherried, ready to go. I will say the cold weather probably aids to that as well.
Nah, yeah.
That's probably getting us going pretty quick. But yeah, patience, man. I have patience about cigars. I wouldn't say other things in life, but
You don't have to admit that on camera.
yeah, I know. I'm just saying priorities, man. I'm frank. You know, it's the only way I know.
All right, I gotta get mine in the middle a little bit more.
Oh yeah, you're doing good, man. Cooking with gas.
Oh yeah, man, be patient. Now, considering that this is COVID season and we're going into cold weather, man, I can't imagine. Like, patience is one thing that not anybody really has right now.
No, and I'm sure you've witnessed that yourself with your profession, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it comes to the essentials like smokes and booze, you would think, you know, people might get a little crazy.
Dude, man, you're talking like, in retail, you deal with, you know, a million different personalities a day, whether it's the people that you work with or just the customers coming in. And as much in the last, since this has been going on since March, so in the last, 7 months, something like that, and 8, it's been a ridiculous ass year. And I hadn't smoked as many cigars, drank as much energy drinks, bought as much liquor, just because when I got off work, it's like, I don't want to be bothered.
Of course not. I mean, with the chaos, I mean, I always use the term you're on all day. You know what I mean? You flip that switch, and I mean, and this is for me. I flip on a switch, and you know, I'm not saying I'm being fake, but I'm putting on my sales face. I'm trying to be as comforting as possible to customers that are coming in without being pushy. You know what I mean? And that sometimes that means instead of the first thing I say is, hey, we got this new cigar in, it's, hey, how's your wife doing?
Right.
Hey, how's your son's football game? Stuff like that. Yeah. I try to lighten up this current situation we have going on. But
Yeah, it's
can't do it with everybody.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I'm reading and I'll put this on at the end of the video. It's a cigar book, and I've read at least 3 during this whole thing. One thing about retail, I know for us, it was that there's no days off. And then from a managerial standpoint, trying to balance, you know, work, home, you know, have a solid head on your shoulders, especially with everything as haywire as it is right now, it's hard to do, especially how it was in 2018. That's good.
What do you think of the start?
Start's nice. Roasted almonds, you know.
Almond. I pick up, like when you bite into a handful of unsalted almonds, that's what I get right off the front.
I'm getting that. I don't want to say anything sugar cane because I got a bottle of rum next to me, but there is a richness, almost like a, not syrupy, but something a little bit thinner than that. It's almost like, like if you take syrup and put it on your pancakes, like if you're going to McDonald's and you're getting that little hot cake syrup packet, that's what you get that out of here. And for anyone that's looking for tasting notes and that kind of thing, you can Google Cigars International, cigars.com, whatever. But remember that if you can't relate to the tasting notes, it's not going to work for you. You got to be able to relate to the tasting notes. And that's what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I totally agree with you. I get, almond right on the front, which to me, almond is very distinctive when it comes to nuts, and I really picked that up.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the richness, call me crazy, but when I almost get like the faintest cocoa note, almost like a.
I didn't want to say chocolate. I really didn't want to.
But like a hot cocoa note.
Mm-hmm.
There's some chocolate in there, but it's not at the forefront. It's almost at the back, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. They asked me yesterday. She's like, "Well, there's different peanut butter whiskeys. You said you don't like this one. Why did I buy it?" I said, because when I do taste. I don't drink. So I can say, okay, look, I don't like the style. I think it's terrible, but it's good because of this.
Mm.
It's smooth. It's not, it's not thin. It's got a little bit more weight to it. It's got a longer finish. It's not mass produced. They're still taking time to make every single case, every single bottle. But now will I buy it and spend my hard-earned money on it? Hell no. But I know it's good, so that's why I can sell it. She's like, oh, that kind of makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Bet you missed that food.
Dude, the one thing I will say, the food was awesome, but I don't, when you're going, at practice and you got games, and instead of eating like 6 times a day or 8, I'm eating like 9, 15 times a day, because everything's got carbs. So I'm eating bread and pasta, and it's going right through me, got the energy, and then as soon as I get done shooting a layup for warm-ups, okay, I'm hungry. Food's awesome.
I'd say that's probably contributing to your palate, not only with, spirits, but food. And I would say cigars too. I mean, and I've always told anybody that's a foodie by any sorts, and I would consider you a foodie, that what you eat, stuff that you eat that's different, like I said, contributes to the cigars. Your palate's different, you kind of activate, your taste buds, and that's what causes you to have such a good taste. And I'll tell you right now, you have fantastic taste in cigars.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Because,
that's great.
I hate to say it, but, to me, there's just some cigars that you can't pass up. And, when I recommend them and you're like, oh man, this is great, I'm like, all right, yeah,
that helps. Guys, so we're going to finish these. We don't necessarily need to be on video for this. But, hey, I will take all the constructive criticism outside of the room. I already told you what the reasoning was. But, if there's something that you might be curious about, like I said, I am a wine guy first. If you got questions about wine, I might be able to answer them. I'm not going to post a lot of videos on wine for the simple fact that that's way, you'll get more information from me in person than you will online. If it gets to a point I have more people ask me about it, I might post something, but we need a product that's going to be at least more inviting, and that in wine, you're going to, people, it's almost like religion and government. They're going to have something that they're fully blown on, and I don't have the patience for it. But this, we can talk about it anyway.
Yeah.
Not mad about that. But post your comments, what you like, what you didn't like. Like I said, I'm going to read everything. I'm not taking this personal, because I've been thinking about doing something like this for a while, but now I'm like, well, we have nothing really better to do. And if I'm going to be doing this, it would be nice to be able to have the vibe and do it with somebody that actually enjoy being around. So we're going to finish these. Great choice, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, man.
I'm done with this one. Like I said, drop your comments, and you never know. If it's a point that you want to, if you feel like you want to be in something like this and you want to be a guest, I'm good with that. She's not even a guest. There's no follow.
You want to come hang out and have fun?
Let's do that. Yeah, let's hang out. It's like, we can't do politically correct, because there's not very many people following this. But I will have this posted, within the week. It's not going to be very long, 8, 10 minutes, maybe 12. But again, you learn something from especially from him. You learn something about the cigars. You learn something about some spirits and whatnot. And you never know, if you ever decide to try to get into something like this, or want to be able to have some information going to a cigar room where you are oblivious, you have no idea what's going on, at least at this, you'll be able to have some content to say, okay, look, I've at least seen this, I've at least, have some information, I'm not going to be a dud walking in, and that's all this is for. So yeah, thank you for this one.
Thanks again, man.
Oh yeah.
I had fun.
Mm-hmm.
See you guys next time.
Yep.